The Golden State Warriors enter the 2025-2026 season with as much intrigue as uncertainty. Less than 2 weeks away from training camp, a cloud of questions hovers over San Francisco. On the surface, this looks like a team still boasting Stephen Curry, one of the greatest shooters the game has ever seen. They also traded for Jimmy Butler back in February, adding toughness, experience, and a battle-hardened mentality. Yet, for every step forward, there appears to be another step back. Butler's honeymoon period with the Warriors is already over, and the Jonathan Kuminga contract stalemate has turned what should be a smooth preseason into a complicated mess. The Jimmy Butler situation is both fascinating and worrisome. He came to Golden State knowing that his role would be as Curry's sidekick, the Robin to Steph's Batman, as Butler himself put it. The idea was clear. Ensure that at least one of the two stars was always on the floor, protecting Curry from carrying the full weight at 37 years old. On paper, it was a brilliant move. Butler thrives on responsibility, and the Warriors saw in him the perfect player to guide the second unit. But here we are, before training camp has even tipped off, and cracks are starting to show. Butler has been vocal about wanting clarity. He wants to know what the bench unit will look like, and more importantly, whether Kuminga will even be part of it. His concern isn't unfounded. Without Kuminga signed, Golden State can't run full practices, can't test rotations, and can't build the chemistry they desperately need before the grind of an 82-game season. Jonathan Kuminga's free agency drama is now the elephant in the room. His situation has dragged on far longer than the Warriors anticipated. Fans expected the deal to be wrapped up in July or August, but here we are in September, and the ink is still missing from the paper. The holdup has consequences that ripple across the roster. It's not just about Kuminga himself, it's about the domino effect on others. DeAnthony Melton and Seth Curry are both widely expected to join, but their signings are being held up until Kuminga's contract is finalized. That means the Warriors effectively have just 9 players under contract, half a roster at best. In a league where continuity and preparation are everything, this delay is borderline catastrophic. From a basketball perspective, Kuminga is not a player you can just wait on, without consequences. He has grown into a vital part of the Warriors' future, showing flashes of two-way dominance, versatility, and athleticism that this team cannot easily replace. More importantly, Butler himself has been pushing to work alongside Kuminga. The idea of a Butler-Kuminga-led second unit excites fans and coaches alike. Imagine Butler's grit and leadership paired with Kuminga's explosiveness. It could be one of the most dynamic bench duos in the league. But none of that can be tested right now. The longer this free agency saga continues. Fans expected the deal to be wrapped up in July or August, but here we are in September, and the ink is still missing from the paper. The holdup has consequences that ripple across the roster. It's not just about Kuminga himself, it's about the domino effect on others. DeAnthony Melton and Seth Curry are both widely expected to join, but their signings are being held up until Kuminga's contract is finalized. That means the Warriors effectively have just 9 players under contract, half a roster at best. In a league where continuity and preparation are everything, this delay is borderline catastrophic. From a basketball perspective, Kuminga is not a player you can just wait on, without consequences. He has grown into a vital part of the Warriors' future, showing flashes of two-way dominance, versatility, and athleticism that this team cannot easily replace. More importantly, Butler himself has been pushing to work alongside Kuminga. The idea of a Butler-Kuminga-led second unit excites fans and coaches alike. Imagine Butler's grit and leadership paired with Kuminga's explosiveness. It could be one of the most dynamic bench duos in the league. But none of that can be tested right now. The longer this free agency saga continues, the smaller the window becomes for these two to actually build that chemistry. Steve Kerr has been candid in the past, admitting that Butler, Kuminga, and Draymond Green haven't always fit well together. Stylistically, they sometimes clash. Draymond's fiery personality, Butler's intensity, and Kuminga's desire to establish himself as a star all create friction. In some ways, That friction can be productive, sharpening iron with iron. But in other ways, it can be destructive. This is where Kerr's leadership will be tested. He needs to find the balance, the sweet spot where egos align with team goals. And he has very little time left to figure it out. Training camp is when rotations are built, trust is formed, and roles are defined. If Kuminga isn't there, if Melton and Seth Curry aren't signed, then Kerr is starting camp with a fractured foundation. The addition of Al Horford provides some stability. At 39 years old, Horford is entering the twilight of his career, but his experience and basketball IQ are invaluable. He doesn't need months of chemistry building, he adapts quickly. Horford has played alongside stars before, from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in Boston to Joel Embiid in Philadelphia. His calm, veteran presence is exactly what the Warriors need in a chaotic offseason. But Horford can only do so much. He isn't the answer to the Warriors' deeper issues. He can anchor the locker room and contribute steady minutes, but he cannot fix the fact that Golden State doesn't know what its full rotation will even look like. The Warriors' current problem is not a lack of talent. It's timing. Teams across the NBA are already back in their facilities, working out, bonding, and preparing for the season. Golden State bye. Jonathan Kuminga's story with the Golden State Warriors is one of both promise and tension. Drafted in 2021 as the 7th overall pick, he arrived with the reputation of being one of the most athletic and explosive forwards of his class. The Warriors, then fresh off years of championship dominance, saw him as the bridge between their aging dynasty and a new generation. But 4 seasons later, instead of blossoming into the face of the franchise, Kuminga now finds himself described by insiders as absolutely miserable in Golden State. His frustrations with limited playing time, inconsistent trust from the coaching staff, and stalled contract negotiations have brought the relationship to a breaking point. This script explores, in detail, the issues tearing both sides apart, and why separation now feels inevitable. When Kuminga first joined the Warriors, expectations were high. His athleticism, defensive potential, and flashes of scoring made him a tantalizing prospect. Yet, playing on a team led by Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green meant minutes were scarce. Head coach Steve Kerr prioritized veterans who understood his complex motion offense and defensive schemes. Kuminga's minutes often fluctuated wildly. He could play 30 minutes one night and sit on the bench the next. For a young player trying to build confidence, this inconsistency became a major source of frustration. Still, he accepted his role early on, believing patience would pay off. But as the seasons rolled by, the patience began to wear thin. Despite these struggles, Kuminga delivered undeniable moments of brilliance. During the 2024-25 regular season, he averaged 15.3 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 2.2 assists in about 47 games, even after missing 2 months with an ankle injury. In the playoffs, when Stephen Curry was sidelined with injury, Kuminga stepped up in a big way. Against the Minnesota Timberwolves, he averaged nearly 21 points per game over a crucial 5-game stretch. These performances showcased his ability to shine under pressure and fueled his belief that he deserved a larger role. To him, those flashes weren't anomalies, they were proof he was ready to be a cornerstone player. To the Warriors' coaching staff, however, they were still glimpses rather than consistent production. As reports surfaced in summer 2025, the word miserable quickly spread across headlines. Sources close to the player revealed Kuminga felt trapped in Golden State's system. He wanted to play freely, to be trusted as a star, but instead felt like an afterthought behind veterans. For a competitor with ambitions of becoming a multiple-time All-Star, riding the bench in key playoff games was more than frustrating, it was humiliating. The label of being absolutely miserable captured not only his emotions but also the growing sense that this relationship was nearing collapse. The tension boiled over into contract talks. Entering restricted free agency, Kuminga became the focus of Golden State's off-season. The Warriors, wary of luxury tax penalties, offered deals they considered fair. One proposal was a 3-year, $75.2 million contract with a team option on the final year. Another earlier offer had been 2 years for $45 million. On paper, these looked like lucrative deals. But for Kuminga, the fine print mattered more than the numbers. He wanted a player option, granting him the power to decide his future. He wanted protections against being traded without his consent. He wanted to feel like a valued piece, not just a tradable asset. His rejection of these deals sent a strong message: control mattered more than security. The standoff introduced a risky but bold option: the qualifying offer. By accepting a 1-year, $7.9 million contract, Kuminga could play out the 2025-26 season and become an unrestricted free agent in 2026. This would free him from the Warriors' control entirely, giving him the chance to test the open market. But the gamble is dangerous. One injury, one per season, or another year of limited minutes could tank his value. Still, the fact that Kuminga and his camp are seriously considering this option shows the depth of his dissatisfaction. He would rather risk millions than feel trapped in a situation where he has no voice. From the Warriors' perspective, their caution is understandable. Kuminga's talent is unquestioned, but his consistency is not. His perimeter shooting remains streaky. His defensive focus sometimes lapses. His fit within Kerr's motion offense, which thrives on spacing and ball movement, is still imperfect. For an organization that has built its dynasty on trust, sacrifice, and cohesion, giving Kuminga star-level control feels like a gamble. Financially, the Warriors are also stretched thin. With Curry and Green still on large contracts and ownership wary of luxury tax costs, handing Kuminga a deal with full player control could cripple their flexibility. To them, their offers reflect both respect for his talent and a safeguard for the team's future. Inside the locker room, the situation has not gone unnoticed. Reports suggest veterans, including newly acquired Jimmy Butler, have urged management to resolve the issue before training camp. Chemistry has always been a hallmark of the Warriors' success, and dragging contract drama into the season risks disrupting that. Younger players watch closely, seeing how the franchise treats one of their own. Veterans, meanwhile, worry about distractions pulling focus from their championship goals. The tension is real, and it could set the tone for the entire season. Other teams are circling. The Phoenix Suns and Sacramento Kings have expressed interest, and rival front offices are monitoring the standoff closely. A sign-and trade could provide Golden State with assets while giving Kuminga a fresh start. However, the Warriors have already rejected some offers they deemed unworthy, refusing to take back undesirable contracts or low-value draft picks. The dilemma is clear: trade him too soon and risk losing a future star for cheap, or hold on too long and risk losing him for nothing. For Kuminga, the stakes couldn't be higher. If he bets on himself and wins, he could sign a massive contract next summer with a team that believes in him. He could finally secure the role he craves and fulfill his all-star ambitions. But if he miscalculates, if injuries strike again, or if Kerr limits his role, he risks losing tens of millions in guaranteed money. The decision reflects both his confidence and his desperation. It is a bet not just on his talent, but on his ability to break free from a system that has held him back. Golden State also faces massive risks. Letting Kuminga walk for nothing would be a devastating blow to their future. Trading him for pennies on the dollar would be equally painful. But overcommitting financially could lock them into a contract they regret. For a franchise trying to balance the twilight of Curry's career with the need for young talent, the Kuminga saga represents a crossroads. How they handle it may shape the next decade of Warriors basketball. Several paths remain open. 1. A compromise contract with both team and player options, giving each side some security and some control. 2. Kuminga accepts the qualifying offer, betting on himself and bracing for one last year in Golden State. 3. A blockbuster trade that sends him to a team willing to build around him, reshaping the Warriors' roster in the process. 4. A last-minute reconciliation where both sides agree to move forward and commit to each other long-term. Each path carries consequences, and none guarantees happiness for all involved. The Kuminga Warriors standoff is not just about one player. It reflects broader trends in the NBA, where young stars increasingly demand control earlier in their careers, and where teams must weigh potential against financial risk. It shows the tension between veteran-driven dynasties and the impatience of emerging talent. It highlights how contract structures, team options, player options, restricted free agency, can either build trust or sow division. In many ways, Kuminga's situation is a case study in the modern NBA's power struggle between players and franchises. As training camp approaches, the question remains, will Jonathan Kuminga wear a Warriors jersey much longer? His frustrations are clear, his options are narrowing, and the clock is ticking toward an October deadline. For now, he remains part of Golden State, but the partnership feels fragile. What was once seen as the future of the dynasty may now be slipping away. Whether the final chapter is reconciliation, separation, or something in between, one thing is certain: the saga of Jonathan Kuminga and the Warriors is far from over. And in the high-stakes world of professional basketball, both sides may soon learn that time, patience, and opportunity wait for no one. The Golden State Warriors enter the 2025-26 season with more questions than answers. Their off-season was quiet, painfully quiet. While the rest of the Western Conference shifted pieces across the chessboard, the Warriors stood still, paralyzed by contract negotiations. The Jonathan Kuminga saga loomed large over every decision. At just 22 years old, Kuminga is the bridge to tomorrow. Yet his restricted free agency has created a stalemate. Extend him? Trade him? Gamble on another year of waiting? The front office has yet to decide. This silence speaks volumes. For a franchise defined by boldness drafting Curry, trading for Iguodala, chasing Kevin Durant in free agency, this hesitation feels uncharacteristic. But perhaps it is also deliberate. Because beneath the surface, the Warriors are preparing for something much bigger than today's struggles. Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green. Legends, leaders, fighters. Each of them is north of 35, and each of them knows time is undefeated. Curry still dazzles with deep threes and jaw-dropping efficiency, but even he cannot carry the load forever. Butler, a mid-career arrival, was supposed to inject fresh toughness into the roster. Instead, he finds himself grinding through wear and tear, his body reminding him of the battles he has already fought. Draymond remains the emotional heartbeat, but his defense and playmaking are not as sharp as they once were. Together, they embody the heart of a dynasty in its twilight. Contracts expire in 2027. By then, the Warriors could either be on the verge of rebirth or collapse. Across the league, rivals have wasted no time in sharpening their weapons. Houston shocked the world by reuniting with Kevin Durant, adding firepower to a roster already bursting with youthful confidence. Oklahoma City retained its championship-winning core, sending a message that their reign is no fluke. The Clippers and Nuggets reloaded, adding critical depth to weather the grind of an 82-game season and beyond. The West has grown stronger, deeper, and more ruthless. And in this battlefield, Golden State risks being left behind. For a team that once dictated the style of basketball to the entire league, standing still feels like surrender. Joe Lacob and Mike Dunleavy Jr. know this. They are not blind to the storm around them. The Warriors' books are heavy now: expensive veterans, young players needing extensions, luxury tax penalties. But beyond the burden lies opportunity. By 2027, Curry, Butler, and Draymond come off the books. Suddenly, the cap sheet is light. Moses Moody's $13.4 million, Buddy Hield's $10.1 million, perhaps an extension for Podziemski. That's it. Flexibility is the key word. This is why they wait. Why they hesitate. The Warriors are playing the long game, and here lies the dream. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic. Two names that ignite hope in every franchise. Two players who could shift the balance of power in an instant. According to The Athletic, Golden State is monitoring both situations carefully. Both superstars have player options in 2027. Both could, at least theoretically, walk away from contracts worth over $60 million a year. The odds are slim. Superstars rarely hit the open market. More often, They sign extensions or demand trades before reaching free agency. Yet history offers possibilities. Kevin Durant did it in 2016. LeBron James has done it multiple times. If Giannis or Jokic were to look for a new challenge, a new legacy, why not San Francisco? Why not the Warriors? Imagine Jokic orchestrating Golden State's offense, a point center blending seamlessly with the motion principles that define their dynasty. Imagine Giannis in the Bay, a defensive anchor and unstoppable force in transition, paired with whatever remains of Curry's brilliance. The thought alone is enough to keep fans awake at night dreaming. But dreams carry risk. What if either player leaves? What if extensions keep them tethered to Milwaukee and Denver? Then Golden State could find itself in 2027 with cap space but no star, aging legends retired, and a fanbase staring into the abyss of a rebuild. On the other hand, the rewards are massive. Landing one of those names would extend the dynasty another decade. It would transform San Francisco into the epicenter of basketball once again. It would prove that the Warriors are not just a dynasty of the past, but also a dynasty of the future. So here they stand. Stuck in the present. Dreaming of the future. Waiting for the right move. The Warriors' story is not finished. It is suspended between eras. The echoes of Curry's three-point barrages still fresh. The promise of another superstar perhaps on the horizon. Will Giannis or Jokic wear blue and gold? Will Kuminga become the face of a new generation? Or will Golden State fade quietly, a dynasty remembered but never reborn? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. The Warriors will never stop hunting for greatness. Their identity is not just about winning championships. It is about chasing the impossible. And in 2027, the impossible might just walk through their door. Golden State's front office has been operating with urgency this offseason. With Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler all aging but still competitive, there's a strong push to maximize the next couple of years. At the center of many rumors is the question, can they upgrade around the current core enough to contend again, or will they risk rerouting parts of their young core, especially Jonathan Kuminga, in ambitious trades? Giannis Antetokounmpo, the big dream move. One of the biggest names thrown into Warriors trade talk is Giannis Antetokounmpo. The idea of pairing him with Curry and Butler is tantalizing for many fans and analysts. Reports suggest the Warriors have long coveted Giannis, viewing him as the ultimate complement to an aging Curry, elite two-way size, dominant defensive presence, mismatch nightmare in the paint. However, insiders caution this is extremely unlikely in the near term. The Bucks reportedly are not entertaining offers, have made no indication Giannis has requested a trade saying to the Warriors or to any team. For Golden State to pull it off, they would need to include prime assets, Kuminga, draft picks, perhaps others, plus take on salary or undesirable contracts. And given their own payroll constraints, they may not have enough trade capital without seriously hurting depth. In short, Giannis remains a dream scenario more than a realistic one, unless something dramatic changes in the Bucks' internal